TV, Suddenlink Channel 12, and have their own YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with posted shows and comment on them below the video.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. I'm Cindy Cochran, and you know Richard, you just hear his voice, and his melodic voice, and he's always there interjecting and saying the weirdest things. You may think he has Tourette's, but he doesn't.
The voice in the sky.
He is trying to keep him quiet is hard to do sometimes, because he just, he got the mic. He's holding the mic. He's putting his face to the mic.
Cindy, I always have the mic.
You mean you haven't gotten a muzzle yet?
No.
No, he'll turn us off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'll do.
Yeah, hey. He just wants to hear you be.
Well, what's great is I don't even have the camera on Cindy.
You don't? Who do you have it on?
Me.
Oh.
Yeah, I just do what I want.
That's selfish.
You know, you're going to have to get out of that
funny.
kitchen. You can't cook in there no more. No, he told me one time he had put that camera on right there, and I said, don't ever use that camera again, because it made me look like I was 50 pounds more than I already am. And so, now, Richard, don't you dare.
Don't you turn it on,
Richard,
because I would too.
You have no idea what I'm doing.
No,
That's
don't.
right.
What's great, B, is B knows a little terms and everything. I used to have a monitor for everyone to, like, you could see it.
Yes.
But then everyone started focusing on the video monitor, not the show.
Yes.
And
hold your head up so you only have one chin.
And that's why I don't have the headphones really for people, because they freak out about it, and then especially the women.
You don't care how we look, so that's what you're telling us.
it's more of like, it is what's community radio. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Cindy sometimes comes from a ditch, sometimes from an alleyway. We don't really know where she wakes up from. And she comes in, and I'm everyone's welcome here at Lone Star Community Radio.
You just don't like the way I dress,
Yeah.
The pajamas, but nobody who sees what you're wearing.
Yeah, like on the
here.
news, you don't have to even wear long pants.
No, when the news department at Channel 13 put monitors in the studio and had them turned, and the guys, the anchors, just watched the monitors and they wouldn't look up at the camera, and they would. It was so funny. Of course they would, and so it was so much fun to watch them. And then apparently somebody complained, so they quit doing that. But
That's silly.
no, you don't know what he's doing back there, and so I try to feed him.
Idea.
I try and feed him once a week so that he'll be sweet and nice, and he's always in a better mood when I bring food. It's just strange. It's nothing I cook. It's something I just drive through and get. But he's really sweet. Richard is really a good guy, and I am on the lookout for some perfect woman for him to start dating. And
Okay.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know.
I can join that hunt.
She doesn't know.
You know what? I told you that story.
I have a granddaughter who.
Well, see, this is one of the funniest things that I've realized, because when I became single, I think I told you, Cindy, is like I had all these friends of mine and older friends of mine try to set me up on dates.
Yeah.
They hate for men to be happy.
But no, my favorite part was like no one really applied logic to where like how old I was. So there was a couple dates set up where I find out after we agreed to go on a date, 23 years old, and I'm like, I feel like that's kind of young. And
well, you look like a baby.
I know, but it's just funny because everyone's like, I have a granddaughter. I have a I'm like, how about an aunt? How about a sister? I'm okay with those words. But when it
about
comes to
38,
granddaughter
28?
or something like that,
28.
it could be anything.
28, this is close enough to
28 's
30.
close
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cindy, what's your age difference? Isn't it 10 years? Or is it like 30 years? What's the difference? How old is Sam?
It's 7 years.
7 years.
And that's
7.
Yeah, 7 years for my husband.
That's
Yeah.
reasonable.
And it was fine until this year.
Yeah.
He went, I can't take this anymore. Everything's overwhelming. I don't understand technology. I don't, he was going through all that. And I said, you got to just relax, go with the flow. This is your retirement years. These are the times you're supposed to be happy. He says, but I'm worried about the family. I'm worried about this economy. And I said, I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You just got to let it go. But he doesn't. No, you're talking about these mics. These mics are perfect because you're right. You don't have to wear lipstick. You don't have to
Yeah, that's right.
shave. You don't have to do anything. It's just
We can
perfect.
see over it, so we can look into your eyes.
I see your eye. Look into your eyes, and that's it. And they're perfect.
Yep.
That's what I loved about the mask during COVID. I told friends, I said, you got to look at the bright side of this. You can wear a mask.
Right.
You don't have to do makeup. You don't have to do anything. Just kind of maybe a little eye makeup. That's all you need now. It's perfect. We're going to hate it when we have to take these masks off.
Yeah, it looks weird when you're chewing gum, though, to see this going. Like,
Well, they might
Yeah,
hear
we
the
were talking
smacking.
about Huh?
They might hear the smacking.
oh, yeah.
What?
Smacking gum.
Yeah, smacking
Oh,
gum.
yeah. No, that's right. You
My
can hear it.
favorite mask that I got was Wonder Woman.
You got a Wonder Woman?
I ordered it online. It was cool.
I love the one that was a mouth. It was a big, a big
Yes.
smile, And it was,
That's right.
It was so strange, and I thought, oh, these can't go away. But then they went away, and we're so happy. The freedom of that was just
Yes,
amazing to
right.
be able to.
That's if you follow the
referred-
rules.
I refer to that era that we're still kind of in as the pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
It's PAN
Oh, I like
That's
it.
the way I type it.
Well, no, I mean, I going through all that whole time, I think there was one instance someone told me about the mask, and I was like, okay. And I wasn't even supposed to be there. And I was like, well, I'm in the wrong spot anyway.
Oh.
Oh,
So,
I'm on radio. I don't need a mask.
yeah, no, because I went to the dermatologist, and it was one of those buildings that has a bunch of different hospital things in it, and I had no idea. It was just a big building. So I just walked in, and they're like, so you need to put on a mask. I'm like, is it is this doctor and so-and-so? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool, bye. I'm not going to put on a mask. I'm like, do I have to still put it on? And
Cancel my appointment.
At least I just would always forget it, and so I'd go and it would have fallen on the floor in the car, and I'm trying to find it. I know as soon as I found it and put it on, it was probably much more dangerous to wear that mask.
I'd
than where
hang
it's
it,
been.
hang it on the gear shift.
Yes.
I still have 2 in my purse, I think, just in case.
no,
Throw
actually,
down.
no. I saw not an article, like a post the other day that the city of Houston is auctioning pallets of like N95s, and I looked at one of them, and you can get a pallet, which I don't know how much is on a pallet, but you can imagine a pallet of N95s. The current bid was $211 for a
That's
pallet
a pallet.
Of masks.
of N95, like the medical
Oh,
ones,
yeah.
not
Those are
just
the ones
Yeah.
the painters wear.
or the
Yeah.
ones that
That's
hospitals
right,
require
that's
people
right.
to wear.
Right, and it was the same thing. The painters that's where they got it
So
from.
I kind of laughed. I was like, man, if I was some hospital manager, I'd be ordering those up like nothing
Oh, they
else.
say
brother.
it's
'Cause
And
you
then
never know
pocket the
what's
rest. You know, they give me a budget. I'm like, instead of paying $4,000 for a pallet, I'm paying $212.
Boy, that's a good deal.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, that's kind of funny. You knew it was going to happen because everyone
Right.
over ordered.
Well, it's like getting the test, the COVID test, and now
Yes.
there was a little flurry there because of the flu and the COVID, and people were trying to still get those tests, and I had to go get one for my daughter, and she, and I was afraid they'd be out of them. So I'm going to go to Walgreens first. Okay, it's Walgreens have them. And they said, no, we just ran out of them. I couldn't believe it. Are you kidding? I mean, people are, she said, oh yeah, we're having a lot of flu, a lot of RSV, all that. So you're going to have a hard time finding them. And then I finally ended up at Kroger. Of course, they had them. Their pharmacy is so good at Kroger because they do have just about, I have to take Trulicity. And I went all over the place trying to find Trulicity. And what's happened is that women found out they can lose weight taking this.
Yes.
And it's for diabetics. So we diabetics need
I'm
this
considering
stuff.
being diabetic, as a
Yeah,
matter of fact,
I'm
so I
sure-
can take it.
I'm sure they go
But
and say,
doctor, I know I'm getting close.
look at me, I'm blown up, and I know it's from diabetes.
Right.
But, so that's found out that but CVS in Conroe has them, and he had to whisper it over the counter. Okay, but don't let this out. You know, that,
Oh, my goodness,
That we
yeah.
we are hoarding them or something, whatever. But
That's
so
funny.
that's the only place I found them. It's like that, and so I'm hoping that eventually I'll quit eating sugar and exercise and do this so I don't need anything and have to depend on them because they're always back order on everything that, things I want and I need. And I came up to the counter one time and said, how many days can I be off of insulin before you have to worry? Because I feel like I'm just about there. And they went, maybe a day. You can go like a day or two. And I went,
Depends,
I'm
yeah.
talking about y'all been backward for about a week, and I'm getting weaker.
Can't you get those kind of things delivered to your home?
I don't know. I've never.
I
It'd
feel
have to
like
be
that
in
kind of
a brown paper so no one, so it wouldn't get stolen in the mail.
like
So I'm like,
I
Ozempic.
feel,
No.
I feel like there's a thing where you can qualify to get that kind of stuff
To
to your.
deliver it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, CVS delivers.
Or
it.
delivery,
Walgreens
right?
does deliver.
CVS
It's going to
does.
cost you $7.95 extra to have them delivered.
Well, at least you won't die.
Well, yeah, that's what.
You know, I'm
if
just thinking
there.
about in the future for you, Cindy.
But they just don't have the medicine to deliver it.
So
Give me some kind of. Okay, we just got this in from China, so here.
Yes.
Take this. They're trying to eliminate our people. But anyways, B, we've really gotten off course. We're
Just a
supposed to
little.
be in here
But it's been
talking about
fun.
history. Well, that's what we like to have here is
Yeah.
fun. But history is fun, and
It is.
and
It is. I
finding
hated
out
it in
what we had.
school, though.
You hated
Yeah,
history
you
in school,
had to remember years.
and now you're at the
yeah, I'm
Historical
not dead, but I'm one
Society?
of them.
you're
Yes.
yeah
I also use the cheat sheet a lot.
you do. Oh,
In 1840 is when when Nat Davis came to Montgomery,
Mad.
and that is when I can remember.
Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when Elvis came here? What
I
year
was
was
in
that?
Houston then.
You were in
I
Houston?
didn't immigrate up here till '93.
You know how many people would have driven
Yes.
that far to?
you didn't.
to
Why didn't you?
Well, Nancy
I was probably
McCoy
about, I think-
sang with him.
Do you know what year that was that he? I can't remember
What
year.
year
it
was that?
But it was when he was that hayride.
Yeah,
tour.
Louisiana Hayride.
Yeah, and so I was probably about 6 or 7, something like that. Whenever he was here, and it was a big deal, you know. But everybody, I mean, they knew who he was.
It's what I looked up online. It said August 24th, 1955.
1965,
55.
55. There you go.
Okay,
See,
He
I was-
played atop
I
of a
was
flatbed
9 or
trailer
or 7
at the local
I remember
football
when
field.
he came to Houston.
as 77.
I was so much in love with him.
Oh.
He had no idea.
But you knew he was looking at you.
Yeah.
If you saw,
And I didn't. I could. My family didn't. What's a concert?
yeah, and they cost how much?
Yeah,
It was like
right.
$6 or something. I went and saw
Eat
the
your
Beatles.
mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's right. You can hear him on the radio.
Yes.
Because when at the City Auditorium in Houston, I went and
Yes.
saw the Beatles, and
Oh, wow.
I went with my boyfriend, and we sat up in the nosebleed section,
Mm-hmm.
and I just sat there and went, "We're breathing the same air."
Yeah, how
With
exciting.
they run up on stage, and so people start screaming. They didn't stop screaming until they left the stage. They screamed all the way through
hear a
every
thing.
song. Could not hear a thing. And I look over, and my boyfriend's screaming. I went, "What are you doing?" He said, "It's the Beatles. What do you want? This is everybody screaming."
Oh my.
But, it's rare that you can go to any place and scream.
Mm-hmm.
We probably don't scream enough as it is. I'm sure therapists would say.
And that's
"You
where
scream
the
once in a while."
rodeo was until the
Yes,
dome.
that's right.
And early on, the same entertainer would be there the whole time, like Roy Rogers.
Yes.
And when I was in high school, I think I was a senior, our drill team ushered
Roy
And
Rogers?
since that was after that, it was the Rifleman
Oh,
and his son.
man.
Yeah,
Chuck
that was
Connors.
cool. And since I was in the top 3, we got to go and meet him,
Oh, man.
and that was pretty cool.
I had such a crush on his son.
Yeah.
The TV son.
Crawford, he
Yes.
had one song,
That was it. One
and
song.
yeah,
It's
he's
like,
still around. I
that's all he
understand.
needed. That's all
He doesn't remember me either.
you keep sending these guys letters and they don't.
Yeah, that's
they're
right.
not listening.
It's
They're not
sort
talking
of
back to you.
semi-stalking.
What's bad is that on the now that we have all this technology and they do all this fake stuff,
Yes.
you know, and I'll look at it and go like, Keanu Reeves, quit texting me. I don't have
that's
time for
right.
you.
I'm through with
Listen,
you.
President Biden, no, don't. And so, stop it. But they it's so fake, and you know, you really don't know who to believe, what to
Yeah.
believe. And when people
Getting
say
worse.
they want to be your friend,
Yes.
Now Mark
Hater.
I
Our
said
Mark?
Hayden. Yes, our Mark. When people would, you know, say they want to be his friend, he said, I said, don't you vet them or do anything? He says, no, I don't. I let everybody in. I just say, come, you know, you can be my friend.
I'll look at their about page
Yeah.
and see what they've got on it. And if it's a guy that's got a bunch of women scantily clad, I thought, boy, is he barking up the wrong tree? And I say, no thanks.
You didn't send them a letter.
Yeah.
You didn't send,
I
okay.
just say, nah.
Next, but see
So
that's
I need to change my stuff.
Oh.
Is that what I need to do? B?
I think that's it. Your
could
your
be.
strategy is not good yet. You got to
But
work
be
on
careful.
that. He's newly
Don't
at
let anyone catfish you.
he's new at this, so we have to, yeah. But I think that it's funny because I look at this. My criteria is how many friends they have, because they'll say like your friends thing, and they have one picture, and this girl's on everybody's. They use this one picture and say this is my friend. She's not a friend, but that's how I go by it, because
I look at the number of friends. If some of those friends are my friends that I trust.
right that I trust, right, and I have for a long time. But the guys, it's funny. I don't know how they're doing this, but they just recently divorced, and they just want to, you know, they really like the things that you put up, and they really like your post and they like your picture. And come on, I just want to be a friend and be and I just need a companion. And so I look at their picture. Now most are pretty good looking, but I think these are models that they're
that's
using.
right.
You know, so you have to watch that. You can get caught real bad. And I told Sam, he said, "You're doing what?" I said, "No, I mean, I tried to figure out who they are, you know." And he says, if you don't know their name or you can't pronounce their name, then just let that go. Don't
Or if
even
they tell
worry
you
about it.
they're in the service in Germany, you go,
Yes. Yes.
why are you here? Why are you on my computer?
We want to know all your information. If you
Yes.
could hear him talking, you wonder,
That's
why,
right.
wait. But okay, so this is what we do every time. We have on Tuesdays, Mark and I. See, I got
This
Mark
guy?
and I. Richard and I have this show called Ask Me Anything,
Yes, I've heard that.
because we have like 112 years between us on Earth, and so I have the most. And so I thought we would be able to have an opinion on anything or an answer to anything. And so,
I wondered what yesterday's show was.
well, could you figure out if you watched it or listened to it and trying to figure out the theme of it? Because Richard always wanted us to have a theme. You need to have a theme. If you want somebody to listen to it, you need to have
And
a
join
theme.
in, yeah.
And so we would, but we just talk about.
Well, I mean, it was
everything.
either Ask Me Anything or let's hear about 10 different things Cindy thinks she might know, but she forgot. And so we have to figure
It's
that.
kind of hard to come up with.
Well, we have to figure out what she's thinking. It's like she goes, "What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
You know, the guy in the bowler hat. He was on that TV
You used
show.
to see him in town, like the guy with the white hair downtown.
Yeah,
It really makes me mad when I start something and I go like, the funniest videos on there, and it's the guy who used to be on SNL. He was the priest, and he'd wear the big. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so
Father Sarducci.
Guido Sarducci.
Yes.
And you know who answered the question was it was
Dennis.
Mark. I mean, I keep saying
Al.
Mark now. I can't get
Man.
Was it
Mark's
Al?
name. No, it was Dennis O'Connor. He
Oh.
knew, and so he answered the question because I was going, "Who is that guy?" It was terrible.
That'll keep you awake nights.
yeah.
Shouldn't, but
No, I'll take a nap and get over it. And it's fine. It's fine.
it's
But
like
you
the story of the couple that was playing cards, and the husband said, "It's your turn," to his wife across the table, and she says, "Who?" He should. Okay, what's that flower that I like so much? And she said, "Rose." He said, "Okay, Rose." He forgot his wife's name.
there you go. See, Sam hasn't started that yet. He hasn't. He's forgotten all the kids' names. He just tried to
Oh.
forget everybody's
I
name. No.
sometimes call the dog by our great grandson's name. The dog is Dexter, the kid is Ezel, and he's a precious kid too.
That's what we were talking about, trying to keep names straight. It's just, and when you're kids, you go through every name first before you got to that name, the right one. But now, see, this is what happens. Now, I'm like the substitute teacher that comes in, and it's so easily to get me off track. And I'll
She's
start
never
talking
taught
about
biology. Can't even spell it.
we never talk about the subject at hand.
Yeah.
But I want to know about all the things that you have. I mean, you have been in this area since what year did you move
Well,
here?
93 is when we moved there. I started coming to Montgomery in 63 when my sister moved up here. That was 10 years before the dam. She was in Montgomery. They lived at Pine Lake, and they had 3 kids between them, Edna, Zimmerman, and their kids were, and my niece, Kathy, told me that she could ride her horse to Montgomery High School, go the back way, because it was up 149 and go through the woods, and very country. But so we started coming here in 63. In 1983, she was still considered a newcomer.
She was.
And she had a beauty shop, Plaza Beauty Shop, and my family used to come and rent the community building. There were 9 of us in the family.
Oh, man.
Daddy, and we grew up in North Houston. Daddy used to say that we lived on that street. The further down you go, the meaner they were, and we were in the last house. And since I grew up with 4 boys,
Oh, man.
I can attest to that.
Oh, 4 boys.
4 boys. It was 4 girls, 3 boys, me and another boy.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, so I played football and baseball and
man.
was the spectator with Mother, Little League.
Yeah. She
But
was always-
but my sister moved up here, and then we went back and forth a lot and really loved it. So we bought that house on Pine Lake in '89.
the same one.
Same one.
Did you flip it or what did you do?
Well, actually, we added to it. She had repossessed it, foreclosed on it. And it's such a neat area. Pine Lake, 18-acre lake with houses all around it, feeds into Lake Lorraine, which feeds into Lake Conroe. And it was a old fishing lake in the 40s.
In the 40s.
In the 40s is when they first developed it. And it's neat. It's just a neat place, very quaint, kind of like 177 Estates down 149. But it was neat. It still is. And then she moved farther out, and ultimately we bought it in '89. And then, of course, I wanted to live on the big lake.
The big lake.
The big lake, like Conroe.
Lake Conroe. Of course.
So we
of
bought a
course.
lot in '93 at Del Lago.
You did?
We did, and we
Goodness.
built on that in '94, and we just sold it 3 years ago, and I'm still missing it.
Where are you living? Give us your address now. No.
Yeah, we're in Walden now. We scaled
You're in
down.
Walden. Yeah. Yeah, they got those gates and that guy that
Yes.
sits in that house and doesn't let anybody in. Is he still there?
Which one?
I don't know. There was,
That's April Sound.
April Sound.
That's
Well, it's
this
close
side.
enough.
That's on this side.
He gets so just so frustrated.
That's right. Well, Del Lago was a gated community when we bought that, but that didn't last long. They moved the guard shack down to their area, and then just as it became Margaritaville, we moved.
Oh yeah,
But
bet.
we had a great builder because he built up our lot to be 6 inches above the top of the dam. So there were 2 or 3 times that we were in an island, but it did not flood. The big, what was the name of that last big
Harvey?
hurricane we had?
Harvey was the last
Yes,
big
that's the one. It came up to our deck in the back. The dog kept looking at us like, where's the grass? What am I supposed to do? And our son then waded across to come see us,
Oh,
but
my
it did not.
goodness.
It has not flooded.
Well,
Others
speaking-
around us did. A couple
Speaking
of
of
houses
the dam,
down.
speaking of the dam, I'm not allowed to say that. I was never allowed to say that
What?
word. So it was so funny whenever I go, you live near a dam? Yeah, dam. My goodness, you live near a dam? That's amazing. So my mother would say, don't say that word.
There's no N on that one.
No, but I'd make it sound like.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I think it was 70. No, when was it? It was in the 90s, I think. I was at Silver Rock, and
Yes.
this guy came in, and he would do some, production stuff there, and he started telling us about this rumor. He said, "I'll call it a rumor, but I know it's true." Is that there's some Middle Eastern people that have been looking at the dam, and we know that what they're trying to do is they want to blow up the dam. And I went, what? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't go like,
Sure.
no,
Nah.
that never happened.
But there are people like that living out in the woods.
Ah.
I met this guy when I had my stores, and that used to carve beautiful things on the green emu eggs. So we went over to his house to buy one, and then this this propane truck moved in next door. And as we're leaving, he said, "You see that? That's a UN truck. See, it's got the UN on it. They're spying on me." I think I've got all the emu eggs I need.
Thank you very much.
It's one of those guys.
Well, that's what. It was so funny. I kept saying, "Now you tell me, give me the evidence of that. What is it?" He'd say, "I can give you, but I can't talk about it anymore. I can only say that much. I'm just letting you know that because, but that's in Conroe. I mean, that's their problem. We live in, and now I live in Willis. So I was like, and now we were real curious about the bridge, the
The
bridge.
one that fell into San Jacinto Bridge?
Yeah.
River?
Yes. What happened
That
there?
is-
And it's really named Bonnie and
That's what they've
Clyde?
been calling it because, that's one of the things, myths or potentially true thing that we've been reading since we moved up here. And there were people who were trying to buy it and figure out how to buy it and move it, that rusty old bridge that was apparently just kind of sitting on blocks until it floated down, and now it's sitting on the banks.
Look, I didn't know if it was officially named that or if it was
That's just its common
nickname
name that people
that they
call it
have.
because they did have a cousin that lived in Conroe.
Right,
And
and-
they supposedly met there, and the police were constantly following that cousin around. There's also rumor around that there was a service station at the beginning of Montgomery where there's now a donut shop.
Yes.
When the road
Yeah.
splits.
Uh-huh.
We bought that lot about 2020, and when we had buildings on it, including the old schoolhouse, which is haunted. It had been the school for the black kids from 1910 in Dobbin area, and it sat empty after integration until 1994, when Candy and Bill Witzig bought it, cut it in half, moved it into that triangular lot, had not had a building on it since there was a Texaco station at the point. on the east end of it. That's where the rumors are that Bonnie and Clyde used to come through there.
Oh.
Mr. Craig owned that Texaco station, and we'd heard people say that Mrs. Craig, well, first of all, Mr. Craig had a peg leg. And he'd put his money in his peg leg. And then his wife would complain that when Bonnie and Clyde would come in, he wouldn't charge them for gas, Cokes, or candy. And his response, I'm told, was, "You ask him for it." After you, you know.
Well, see, that's what Rodney Poole came over, and we were talking about the history of Conroe, and he owns so many different things,
Yes.
and was so involved. So we were talking about it, and he said, "Well, you know, Bonnie and Clyde stayed over
At that hotel?
At that hotel. It was a hotel. Now it's an apartment complex."
Yeah.
And he said, and to this day, people say they hear them, they know it's them, and people have seen them, and and so their ghosts are here. I mean, they won't leave us alone, and so
they think it is Bonnie and Clyde.
yeah, that's what they feel sure that's who it was.
Even though they didn't die there.
Yeah, so when you see Rodney again, you have to ask him.
I will ask him.
Because Leah, when she took had the tour thing, that she talked about that, and so it was just so much fun to hear that. And if you go in these older buildings, you do get a sense of, man, this is the history of this place, and they haven't changed much at all.
You could only imagine how many people are and how many ghosts. There are several, as Leah told you. And there's one that I just learned about recently. That I'm on the board of the Montgomery Historical Society, and we own 7 buildings. And first one that you see in town is on 149 is the Davis Museum Complex and Museum, and something or other. Anyway, that's a long name. But we've got the log cabin, had been a log cabin, the cottage, and 2 law offices there. But down farther is a building that was the old post office and drugstore. That now has the Rustic Cashmere store in it.
Oh, I wish they'd have kept the drugstore.
I just now learned that there's a mysterious thing that happens there.
What? You get closer to the mic.
Okay, you got to eat the mic. That's right. And so they say. Just don't.
That's right.
You have to. Never mind. And it's Canberra is the owner of the business.
Uh-huh.
And she tells me that every couple of weeks, in the afternoon, sometime between 1 and 2 or 3 o'clock, the door will go ding, and it opens up, and then it closes. And sometimes they can see a bit of an apparition of somebody moving over toward the old post office boxes that are there.
Oh, my
Isn't that
word.
Cool?
Oh.
So that must be some guy that had a ranch or a farm outside of town,
Yeah.
and he'd come in once a week or so and get his mail.
Oh, my word.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
That is neat. And I got a call about a month ago from a Texas Monthly writer who is doing an article about repurposed post offices. They had learned about ours. So she's finalizing the article now. So it could be in the very next issue of Texas Monthly. Among those repurposed post offices will be Montgomery's.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And the post office boxes are there, and there are signs that says money orders, stamps. And if you walk behind there, the public doesn't go back there. But if you were to, you'd see the names, Peel, Martin, all the families that settled the town in the 1830s, or 20s actually in the beginning. And it's really a neat historical building.
Now, where did the Cochrans come from? There's so many things named the Cochran, like the Cochran House. Have you ever seen the Cochran
seen
House?
Some, yes, but
in
I don't
the
know
museum. Well, they did a lot of stuff there because I remember my mother-in-law talking about that's why they wanted to live in Conroe's because everybody could spell their name and they
Yeah.
understood, what they're there. And it's just, I know that we are related some way that,
Yeah, could be. Yeah. It was this whole area, and especially in Montgomery, outside of Montgomery, was the Stephen F. Austin's first land grant, and all of these families who fought for independence from Mexico got acres and acres of land, like the
right.
Peels, the Martins, Simontons, Prices. A lot of the Prices were, and it seemed like there's one more. And those people, their descendants are still there.
that's amazing.
It's really neat.
Oh, that really
And
is.
there's actually a really interesting school project that really does bring the history to the students in Montgomery now. 7th grade Texas students study Texas history all year.
Finally.
Yes.
I'm
And
so glad.
Brenda Bevan, a fabulous history teacher there, came up with the idea of the historical scavenger hunt. It was about 30 years ago, 25 anyway, and they're given 24 riddles. And that's given to these students in about October. They have until late March or April to pick out a dozen, visit each location, get a picture of them there, and tell the history.
Oh,
And it's really great.
wonderful.
There are other parts of it. They're supposed to interview someone who's been there at least 20 years. So that's where the descendants of those settlers back from the 1800s would be interviewed by these students who just moved from all kinds of towns.
Right.
Some from big cities and think they just moved into a little podunk town. And they have to send a thank you note to whoever they interviewed. They have to mail that to them. And they've encouraged these students to find out their family history. And she won a state education award for that
Good.
project.
Oh, that's awesome.
And initially, the honor students had to have a theme. And my oldest granddaughter, who's 28,
All right. I'm listening.
is when
He's
she
listening
was,
now.
When she was in the 7th grade, she's going to kill me. When she was in the 7th grade, her theme was looking for Sam Houston. Well, and she would tell whether or not Sam had been there, could have been, or could not have been. But the last one was she was at our Davis cottage with a picture with Sam Houston the fourth,
oh,
the great-great-grandson.
oh, that's
He was there about 4 times. I've got pictures of 2 other grandkids there. He was a wonderful guy.
that's
Last time I saw
awesome.
him is when they unveiled the, I call it the Conroe White House, the Spirit of Texas Bank.
Yes.
He was there, and I got pictures of 2
Oh, that's
other
so
grandkids there.
I don't know. It's so funny. When I drove past that, I didn't even realize that.
Simmons.
No, before.
Okay. It's beautiful.
Yes, and that guy and I went to
Dean
church
Bass?
together. Yes, Dean Bass and,
I love
and,
Dean.
and his wife. Oh, that family's amazing. And we went to church together, and we drove by there, and I went, did somebody make the replica of the White House? And what for? And I didn't know it was a bank. I didn't know Dean was
Yeah.
part of
It's
that.
a great complex, isn't it?
Is.
It's gorgeous.
I kept thinking I'd see, the people that would stand on top of the White House.
Yes.
All the snipers, and watching
Yeah,
everybody come
right.
in, and how cool that was. But that was just amazing.
It was. And the one in Montgomery that he built later, that's right at the Lone Star Parkway in 105.
That was his
is
first
beautiful.
bank. That was
No.
his first bank, right?
Was it?
I
It might have been.
'Cause I went-
I think it was. You're right.
I went there, and he opened that
That's
vault,
right.
and it was. I'd never seen a vault. I'd never been walked inside a vault.
Really?
And seemed like, what? This is so strange. It was like,
Yeah.
like you always saw in the movies or
And
on
so many
TV, you see 'em.
historical things inside their lobby. Just gorgeous.
Just awesome.
He's very
As-
historic minded, and that's
Yes, he
wonderful.
is.
He's
Yes,
done
he
a lot
is.
for this area in Montgomery too.
He did. I mean, once he went up, once he did that I thought that will put this place on the map.
Yes.
People need to come out and take pictures of that, and they'll be standing in front of it and taking pictures. And it was wonderful. But you have, you want to encourage people to go to the museum, right? You want them to
Yes.
come to the museum.
Right.
Now, to get to Montgomery City, what, are you called Montgomery County City or
Montgomery's last name is not county.
I know it. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
know.
Montgomery
And I want
County?
those people here. It is Montgomery. That
Montgomery,
was the county seat initially
Right.
until the 1850s, I think it was, when Conroe came into the dead of night and stole. Well, that's my version. But what happened was,
Wait, let me
there's
see.
another version.
Hang on a second. Let me see if city council's meeting. No, you're
Lock
good.
the door.
You're
The
good.
railroads came through Conroe and Willis.
Yes.
Montgomery apparently didn't want that riffraff. And so people moved here.
Right.
Moved here because they could work here better and didn't have to travel back and forth, didn't have to pay 10 cents to ride the milk wagon from Montgomery to Conroe. That used to happen. And so the population grew in this area. And another version is when Montgomery and Willis were arguing over which one should be, all of a sudden it was Conroe. Maybe they just built the courthouse. And the blue wood from that original courthouse in Montgomery is in part of the Davis Cottage. Because when they tore it down, some of the people in town, I bet they had to pay for it. And the Nat Davis Museum that we have there has the blue wood in the kitchen and the kids' room.
The blue wood. What's that?
It's blue. It's just a blue painted wood that the courthouse had on the outside of it.
And that's what. And so they repurposed
And it's still
it.
there, right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Nat Davis came to Montgomery in 1840, and he took in as a legal fee a log cabin and moved it. They took it apart and moved it to near the intersection, what is now 105 and 149, and they put it back together, and he lived there. It got married in 1845, but the building right now has been added onto. So you go in that first room, and you see that the wall is this thick because it's got it was the cabin.
It was a log cabin.
Right,
Yeah.
the log cabin. And once they had a few more kids, he was our first mayor, too. And he was judge and very prominent for the county. And he
Well, that's why the
was-
street's named after Davis. This
yes,
named
probably.
after him?
Yes, I'm sure it was. And he also, once he got a little more affluent and had too many kids for that house, he built the Oaks Colonial House that's on Prairie Street, a block and a half away. It's a beautiful colonial, and it's also on the historical register.
It is.
It
Okay.
is. And
Now, what does
it's
that
haunted.
mean when you get into the historical register, your house? Does that mean nobody can mess with you ever?
Basically, if you wanted to keep its historical significance, there are only so many things you can do to it.
You get
And you have to get that designation from the state, you have to show the history of it, and they determine whether it's significant enough and if it's still enough like it was originally
and well,
to. Now, the Montgomery County Genealogical Group has a different marker that they can award, and we have a couple of those in Montgomery. Those, it's not as strict, but it's also very commemorative, and they look alike, except the ones the county approves and puts in are blue, and the others are black.
so does somebody really want all of that?
Yes.
I mean, I
They do.
understand that they feel like that's an honor to have that, but then all the restrictions and
that they
and how
have to agree. Or so here's one thing that happened. Well, first of all, we moved here. I said immigrated here in '93, and I commuted to downtown Houston. I was working 20 years, yes, for lawyers for 20 some odd years, and then I decided I wanted an antique store. So we bought a building, and I had the branding iron gifts and antiques, and then I bought that lot where the old schoolhouse was. And
that was haunted.
Yes. And it was already, and that was in '94 when the Witzigs moved it in there and set it up as an antique store. And then I got involved with the Historical Society and decided that I was not going to be in the antique business anymore. So we sold the schoolhouse building to a couple who were going to put in a boutique. It already had Ruthie Grace in there. We were renting it at that time. But later, they decided they weren't going to do that, and they were going to move it to Dobbin. So wait a minute. That's where it came from. But the city of Montgomery said, no, you won't. This is an historically designated building for Montgomery, and you can't move it.
And you can't move it.
You can't.
Yeah,
and I
so
was
that-
thrilled.
Ooh.
But then they sold it to Remax, who's modernized it. I have a little
They
tear,
took all the character out of it?
But yeah, a lot of it. But they appreciate the history of it.
But they didn't take the ghost out.
No.
Okay,
And
so there you
it's from the outside, it looks very much like it did. That building is one of 1,600 schoolhouses that were built after the Civil War throughout the South. It was the brainchild of Booker T. Washington.
Oh.
He determined that these former slaves' kids needed to be educated. So he created a plan that these white school administrations would help the black community to come up with a curriculum and set up their system. Mm-hmm. And the CEO of Sears and Roebuck paid for half of those 1,600 schools.
Oh, my goodness.
And this schoolhouse in Montgomery is one of them.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, isn't it?
Nobody knows this
He
stuff.
was, Larry Forster's the one that sent me the information on it. I didn't even know that until we'd bought it.
Yeah.
But it's a great story. And
It is.
so many of the kids who had gone to that school are now senior citizens in Montgomery.
Oh.
And we had a reunion. I've got a DVD of a reunion we had that was precious.
Oh, I bet there
and
were tears.
Each of those, I know it is.
Oh, my goodness.
They lived, these people lived, a lot of them down Dobbin in that other town over there, Dacus. And it was a really great school. They got a great education. They used to put on plays and would invite the white kids.
Oh,
And
that's great.
it was such a community that with no phone, most of them, well, I doubt any of them had a phone in their house.
Right.
But if they were bad in school, the parents knew before they got home.
The parents knew
It
before
was-
they got
See, that was a village that raised all the kids.
And the parents were involved with
Yes.
their education. I think that's great.
A friend of mine is Melva Linton. Her husband was the first black teacher that moved to the Montgomery schools after integration, and he passed away last year.
Oh.
And his funeral was at Montgomery High School.
That
Is that cool?
Boy, talking about come full
right.
circle.
And Melva's mother taught there, and she gave me a copy of her mother's contract to teach, and it was signed by the superintendent at that time, James Price,
Isn't
who
that
I knew
something?
when we first moved here.
That is.
It's really neat.
Oh,
But this reunion was so amazing They each got up and talked about their experiences, and I told them about the ghost that's in there. And I know exactly who that was. So that teacher, if you didn't mind, she would throw her keys at you. She wouldn't hit you, but it just would fly by. And then we went over to that building, and it was really neat. Yeah, that they sang songs, and they talked about those years. That school had the elementary age. In one room, they had like didn't have kindergarten, 1st through 3rd,
Right.
4th and 5th.
Right.
And in the other wing, you go in a different door, and the next few classes were there. It's really got a great history.
Story.
It really is.
Nobody's written a book about that?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, B. That's your next level is to get that book written.
And I have pictures. I've still got to get that to Remax people. They have asked for them now. When they had their grand opening, I took some information over there. But we have pictures of that building when they bought it, because it sat empty from 65 to 94.
And
Just
it was
empty.
still
So
standing?
they replaced the plumbing, the electrical, and some of the floors, but the walls. And I tell you what, when we were hanging things inside there, you needed to be tough. It was like nailing into stone. That wood was so old.
Because
yes, and it was
petrified,
so solid.
yeah.
So very solid with 12-foot ceilings.
12
It's
foot.
a beautiful place to visit. Yeah, it's really neat.
Now, can the public?
They could probably go by. The Remax may want to sell you something, but that's okay.
just pretend that you're looking.
Right, that's
Yeah,
right.
That's all you need.
And that's okay. But it is, when we bought it, we were told that it had been approved by the state. But when I contacted the state, they didn't have anything on it. So we never did do anything. But I believe that Remax is now working with the county.
There you go.
To get a
them
blue designation, and I'm really glad.
Well, this has been amazing. I have this really quick story. He gave me a 2-minute warning. It's a really quick story. Did you know the deal about the Texas flag and how the guy that designed it,
Dr. Stewart, who designed it? Yes.
That he came and he put it in front of Sam Houston, but he laid it down where it was upside down.
No,
have you heard
here's
this?
what happened.
Okay.
In the words of Monk on TV, he sat across the table from Mirabeau Lamar, who was president of the Republic. And he said, Lamar saw so many these people coming to help us for our independence that they had their own flags. And Lamar said, we need a Texas flag. So he asked Dr. Stewart to head a committee. He drew it and he slid it across the table. Lamar signed it in the white upside down, because he didn't know white had to be up.
Right.
But he was approving it. He wrote official flag, Republic of Texas, January 23rd, I think. Here I go with those dates. And that's why it was signed upside down.
And that's why the white's on
yes.
top.
And white is, right. The
Because
original, original is in the archives in Austin.
Okay. Oh, that is awesome.
Yes.
I just love that story so much.
It is.
When someone came and told us the history.
It's
okay.
neat.
B, we could go on and on and on, and I know it's been 30 seconds left.
Is it 4 o'clock yet?
Yes, right. And it's only supposed to go to 3. But I love having you here, and so
Glad to be here.
And anything that you've got coming up, always come and say, Cindy, this is coming up, so I want to come and talk about it.
I would like to mention one thing that's coming up this Saturday,
Okay,
the
you
3rd.
got 15 seconds.
It's MLK celebration that they had to postpone because of the freeze is going to be in Lone Star Community Building on Lone Star Parkway.
Okay.
11:30.
11:30. Okay.
there.
All right. Be there. Be square.
Right.
All right. First responders, we love you so much. We honor you. We thank you so much for all you do for us. When we're running away from it, you're running to it.
Yes.
And we thank you. We thank you, all first responders. So anyway, all right. We'll see you tomorrow. Now we've got Gary Parker.
Yes.
And we've got Mike Valdez, and they're coming talking about Shattered Lives. Love you. Bye.
Every week, people ask the same 2 questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran's show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any of their representatives.
Does volunteering at a nonprofit horse sanctuary sound wonderful? Or are you a veteran or a veteran